Léo Major. Bruh, with a name like that, how are you not destined for greatness? Not like a Léo Major is gonna work as some accountant, a florist, or an adult film star. Hold on, I think I just found my alias. Only for the fans though. Anyway, forget the whole, oh, can 100 men defeat one gorilla thing? Pfft, ridiculous. Can 100 Germans defeat one Léo Major? That's the real question. And the answer is, no, they can't. Facts. Actually, even 1,000 couldn't. Once, Léo Major defeated a whole city by himself, 1v1,000. But before we get to that, let's start with the 1v1 his parents had to go through to bring him into this world. Once Mama Majors finished Papa Majors, Léo was born on January 23rd, 1921. Unfortunately, this Léo's life was Lion King only in the worst of ways. His mom died when he was young, and his dad was a massive Léo minor. Get it? Because he had a small dick. He must have, because how else do you explain a father being abusive to his own child when he's all that child has left? So with no love at home, Léo left home at age 14 to live with his aunt until World War II broke out, which gave Léo a chance to prove to his father and himself that he was worth something. Meaning when the army looked for volunteers, 19-year-old Léo was like,
I volunteer as tribute!
In the Canadian Army, Léo was assigned to the Régiment de la Chaudière, but since he was a teenager and weighed less than 60 kilograms, he was kept out of combat until the army needed every able body they could get their hands on June 6, 1944, the infamous D-Day. That's gonna be the name of the day I make my adult career debut as Léo Major. 14,000 Canadians charged the beaches of Normandy to liberate France from the Nazis, and 10% of them were severely injured or killed, but not Léo. Because Léo managed to make it across the enemy lines where he busted into a manned German armored vehicle, and obviously the Nazis in that vehicle, they were like, ooh, did you just bust into our armored car? And Léo said, well, yes, because I was out of tissues, and now I'm kidnapping you too. And then he shot one of the Germans and kidnapped the other, forced him to drive him back in that captured vehicle, drive Léo back to the Allied forces in a vehicle filled with valuable, sensitive intelligence documents and German communications gear. Game changer for the Allied forces, and it was just day one for Léo, because Rookie of the Year Major, man, he was only getting warmed up. A few days later, on June 24th, still in Normandy, still high from pulling off that German vehicle heist, Léo had every reason to believe that he wasn't. So Léo decided to scout the enemy troops alone. And when he ran into an SS patrol and engaged them, he took down 4 of them before they could even get a shot off. Unfortunately, that shot they did get off was a white phosphorus grenade, and unfortunately, when white phosphorus explodes in your face, it can blind you. But who am I talking to, fellas? You done blinded many chicas with some white phosphorus to the face.
Stop it. Get some help.
I'm sorry, that was insensitive, because maybe you blinded many chicos or chick-dems with white phosphorus to the face. Don't worry, this ends well for Léo, otherwise I wouldn't be making jokes here. Well, he did lose his eye, so happy ending is relative. But in Léo's own words, he didn't seem to mind, because he said, I only need one eye to sight my rifle. And the medics tried to evacuate the guy, but Léo refused, put on an eye patch, grabbed his gun, and walked right into the next battle. Léo once again ran into a Nazi regiment while scouting by himself. The problem was that this time there were 93 of them. So what did Léo do? Well, quite literally this. He straight up killed their best fighter and commander, and the rest just gave up. I mean, to be fair, we often forget that not all German soldiers were necessarily Nazis, and especially by 1944, many were tired after, 5-6 years of fighting? Or there were people that were not even fit for combat, forced to go to the front lines under threat of their families' lives. They didn't want to be here, and Léo probably did them a favor by killing their commander and taking them prisoner. But hey, one man going against 93 is still wild. But somehow, this is nothing compared to what would come next. The Allied forces are closing in on the Dutch city of Zwolle, where desperate Germans are dug in with nothing left to lose. The war by then was all but officially lost, and most of these Nazis would face a death sentence anyway, so these guys decided to go balls to the wall. Zwolle was their last stand. And so some big shot in the Canadian army said, you can't make an omelette without bombing some Germans. let's bomb these sauerkrauts. But to that, Léo said,
No! No, 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 no! No! Not this fucking time! No fucking way, no fucking way! No fucking way, no fucking way! You made me look a right cunt!
he didn't want civilians to die in the bombing, especially not when the war was already won. But then the higher-ups said, so you would rather send your fellow soldiers to die when the war is already won? And Léo said, that's a really good point, actually. But hey, let's not do this. Let's do this. I forgot how. ISO, Kobe.
ISO!
Anyway, basketball joke. He called ISO and wanted to go into Zwolle alone, but his friend, Corporal Willy Arsenault, decided to go with him to face the 500 to 1,000 Germans occupying the city of Zwolle. Unfortunately, what could have been arguably the most badass thing two friends could possibly do together, it turned into tragedy. Arsenault was killed on the very first day of the mission, and that, man, it sent Léo Major into such a rage that he went on to complete what is possibly the widest solo mission in modern warfare. He ambushed multiple German patrols in the city while rushing from alley to make the engaged enemy feel like they're fighting a number of Allied soldiers. Then Léo set fire to the Gestapo headquarters to mimic another attack, and then he yeeted grenades into far-off locations to again give the impression of a large-scale battle with explosions going off behind the soldiers he was already engaging from the front. Pause. Then he captured a French-speaking German officer and told him that he wasn't gonna kill him now because he wants him to die slowly in the massive bombarding of the city that the Canadian forces are absolutely planning at this very moment. By dawn, the German forces gave up. No point risking your life when you're surrounded and about to be bombed into oblivion, so they surrendered, only to find out that they had only been facing a lone man, Léo Major. Man, he might have only weighed 60 kilograms, but the balls on this guy. Léo had liberated the city of Zwolle, saved thousands of lives, and for his actions he received the Distinguished Conduct Medal as a fitting reward to end his legendary military career and retire in... wait, there's more, because why only be a war hero once when you can be a war hero twice? At the time the Korean War broke out, Léo was chilling at home back in Quebec with his medal, and he figured he always wanted to try that kimchi everybody's raving about, so off to Korea it was to fight alongside the United States to help South Korea fight off the invasion from North Korea, who had teamed up with China and the Soviet Union. To simplify, South Korea became a battleground of communism versus imperialism. So here Léo was, as part of the United Nations, or rather the Royal 22nd Regiment to be specific, and his mission was to lead a counterattack in the battle for Hill 355 in 1951 against the Chinese. This time, it was not Léo going 1v1000, this time he had a unit of 18 elite scouts and snipers and was ordered to recapture and hold the strategic Hill 355, the highest ground in the area, offering commanding views of the surrounding territory and supply lines for miles to whomever controlled it. Hill 355 was absolutely crucial for the United Nations defensive line, so a unit of 18 elites was sent to recapture the hill from, get this, 3,000 Chinese soldiers. Impossible. Not when you have a guy on your team that took a city from 1,000 men all alone. Léo went back into his Zwolle playbook of psychological warfare. He and his men used the cover of darkness and stealth to infiltrate the fortified hilltop base. They created chaos and fires everywhere to make themselves seem like a large attacking force spread out. And it worked. Again, it worked. The Chinese panicked, thinking that they're surrounded, and Léo's unit was able to capture Hill 355. But that's when the real work started, because the Chinese wanted the hill back. They consistently attacked Léo and his 18 men with waves of 300 to 500 Chinese soldiers. But Léo and his men held Hill 355 for 3 days until reinforcements arrived and the UN could definitely secure it. To be fair, Hill 355 was nicknamed Little Gibraltar because it had extensive defensive works, intricate trench system, and obviously was on high ground on a hill, so it was quite the fortress and defendable against overwhelming enemy forces, but still. I mean, Léo also had to capture it with just 18 men first too. Insane. So after making the impossible possible again, Léo was rewarded with another Distinguished Conduct Medal, making him one of only 3 Canadians to earn that medal in 2 separate wars. Then he hung up the rifle and settled down with his wife and 4 children to live the rest of his days out quietly until he died at age 87 on October 12th in 2008. No autobiography, no big interviews, no attempt at chasing glory or fame off of his story. Nah. He left that for us YouTubers to do because he didn't need to. His actions spoke louder than any words ever could. Zwolle, the city he liberated alone, forever remembered his name and honors him with statues, murals, and streets named after him to this day.